welcome to another video of Carol Creates. Today we're going to be making milk bread, which is a very light and moist bread that is very fluffy, and it never lasts more than a couple days in our house. It goes really quickly. So for this you will need, for the water roux, you will need 25 grams of bread flour and 100 milliliters of water or milk. For the main bread, you will need 7 grams or 1 packet of active dry yeast, 1 teaspoon or 5 grams of salt, 1 large egg, plus another for egg wash, 30 grams of unsalted butter at room temperature, 125 milliliters of milk, warmed, a quarter cup or 60 grams of sugar, and 2 1/3 cups or 350 grams of bread flour. So first step is you're going to warm the milk. You're going to want it to be just warm. If it's too hot, it'll actually kill the yeast. And then you're going to sprinkle the active yeast into the milk and then let it sit while we move on to the next step. And we want this to become frothy as the yeast activates. Second step is we're going to put the 25 grams of bread flour into a small saucepan and add the 100 milliliters of water or milk. And we're going to heat this up on the stove top on low, and you're going to be stirring and whisking it constantly the whole time. What we're making is we're making the water roux, and this is we want it to come out like a paste, and this is what's going to add the extra moisture and the light and fluffiness of the bread. So you'll want to have it on low heat, and you'll want to whisk it really quickly, and you'll notice that it'll form at first a very light liquid, and then it'll turn into a little bit of a smooth paste. You don't want it to get really, really thick, but you do want it to be like a thick gravy. And I usually stop when you can see the striations in the paste from the whisk. When it gets to about that texture, I turn the heat off and I take it off the stove top and let it sit, let it cool. Alright, so let's get putting together the bread now. While the water roux is on the stove cooling, you can see that our milk and yeast mixture has gotten nice and frothy. That means that the yeast is getting activated. We're going to put the salt into the mixing bowl first, because I want to keep that away from the yeast so that it doesn't deactivate it. And then we're going to put in the large amount of bread flour, followed by the sugar. And then we're going to make a well in the center. Alright. So here we have this well created in the middle of the flour, and then we're going to add the 1 large egg into the well, the water roux that we had cooled down already, and add that paste right into the well, and then lastly we'll add the yeast and milk mixture. It doesn't really matter what order we put these in, they just all go into the well. And then we are going to put this into the blender at medium to combine all of these items. I'm going to use this paddle attachment, and we're going to put it on medium, and we're going to mix it for about 5 to 10 minutes until you form a nice soft sticky dough. So as you can see, it's been about 5 to 10 minutes, and the dough is starting to form this elasticy kind of texture, which is good. This means that the gluten is starting to form. I'm going to now scrape down the sides of the mixer, and I'm going to add the butter that we had set earlier. I'm going to add the butter in, and then lastly we're going to switch this from the paddle to the dough hook, and we're going to mix it again for another 5 to 10 minutes until everything combines really nicely. Now that the dough is mixed into a little ball, we take it out of the mixer. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil to the sides of a bowl, just so that it stays nice and moist and helps it with the rising. So we're going to now pour that olive dough into the middle. Shape it a little bit so that it is a nice round shape. There you go, just like that. And then you can put some cling film over top. You want it to be touching the top of the dough and just up the side, so that'll keep it nice and warm. So do that, and then if you have a proofing oven, you can put it into the oven. This is plastic, so don't put it in a plastic, put it in a metal bowl if you're putting it in the oven. If you don't have a proofing option in the oven, another option is to turn it to the lowest setting. On my oven it's about 50 degrees for about 10 minutes, and then you turn it off and put the bowl into the oven for it to proof and to rise. A third option, which is what I typically do, is I put a cup of water into the microwave and I heat the water up so that it's really hot and steamy, about 1 to 2 minutes. And then I open the oven, leave the cup of water, steaming cup of water, inside the microwave and put this into the microwave for the duration of the first rise, which is going to be about half an hour to an hour long. And you'll want it to double, so that's how you know when it's time to take it out, when it has basically doubled, or in this case, it'll rise to basically the top of my bowl here. So now we've waited about an hour and it has risen to the top. It's more than doubled in volume. If it doesn't rise as much as you would like it to, you can just leave it to rest a little bit longer, another half hour, 15-20 minutes, up to another hour, and it will eventually rise. So now what you're going to do is you are going to tip this over into a lightly floured surface. And we are going to cut it into quarters. Here we go. Cut it into quarters. Like this. All right, so now I've taken the three of the quarters and put it aside, and I've got 1 quarter here, and what we're going to do is we're going to fold it a little bit into a square shape, and then we're going to proceed to roll it out flat. So now that you've rolled it out into a rectangular shape, we're going to fold it once this way and once this way, and then roll it like this. Fold it towards the middle, overlap it, the second one, and then we're going to roll it like a sausage. Roll, 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 roll. And then you're going to do the same with the other 3, so you have 4 rolls in the end. So now that you've rolled out your 4 pieces of dough into the sausages shapes, we're going to put them into a loaf tin. So what I have here is a loaf liner that I put into a regular loaf tin. If you don't have a liner, then just grease it with some butter and then coat it with a little bit of a sprinkling of bread flour. And then you're going to place these sausages, bread sausage rolls, into the loaf tin, just like this. So now that we have rolled all of the 4 pieces of bread and placed it into our loaf tin, we are now going to cover it again with the cling film and put it in a warm place for its second proof. We will let it rise for roughly 30 minutes to an hour again, so that it doubles again in volume. Right, so we've just taken out the bread from the second proof. You can see that it has risen nicely, more than double. I'm now going to brush on some egg wash over the top and then put it in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius for about 30 minutes to 45 minutes until it's nice and golden brown. And then we'll take it out when it's done. So it's just come out of the oven. Oh, I wish you can smell it. So good. It smells amazing. It looks so good. Golden brown. Now we're going to take the best part. I'm going to cut a piece to eat. Of course, the minute I cut it, it comes running. Come try.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yes, I would. It's so hot and warm.
Really good, huh? Hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you do try to make it for yourself. It's really yummy. I'm sure your family will love it. And if you did like this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.